Peace, pieces, brother Faheem. You are now tuned into the Lead with Logic podcast. You know the vibes. Peace. What's going on, party people? This is brother Faheem, and I'm your gracious and humble host. Welcome back to another episode of the Lead with Logic podcast. Listen, a lot going on. This is somewhat of an impromptu live. I am going to go over some things. Let me get my people in here. Y'all give me a quick second. Welcome. If you'll show up in the comments. Y'all come on in. Yeah, buddy. Let's get this going. My brother. Welcome, whoever that is. Welcome. You shout yourself out in the comments. Shout yourself out in the comments. I appreciate that. Whoever that is, stay tuned because I got some good stuff coming up. Good stuff. Peace. I'm coming. Just getting my brother Merch Life. That's the brother. Merch Life. Setting in my fan base. Peace, wherever y'all are, man. If y'all on Facebook, peace. Share this out. If y'all on YouTube, share it out. Wherever you are, man, share this out. It's going to be great. It's kind of like a continuation of what I did last night. A couple more things that I wanted to say that I didn't get to. A couple more current events that I think we should be aware of. Yeah. Yes. Hopefully everybody had a great Wednesday, hump day. Yeah, we're going into Halloween if you celebrate it. Dias del Muerte. That was the genesis of it. Right, Day of the Dead. Yeah, buddy. See what we got going on here. See what we got going on. Peace, whoever that is. Peace, peace. Hello, hello, hello. All right, yeah. Yes. Who's this? Bear with me, bear with me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. That a brother is. The God is on him. Like, make the God, the master mod. All right.
Video.
This is what I'm gonna do, Merch. I'm gonna send
I
you.
must gotta share it myself. What was text me the link. I'm gonna put it up there.
That's what I'm about to do now. That's what I'm about to do just right now. Hold on. I just sent it to you, King. What's going on, Stover? It's good to see you, bro. Come on in, man. Take a seat. You're getting ready to be watching this YouTube live, man. Yeah, you're watching this live.
There we go. I posted it the other way first. There it is.
Yeah, I can't even see it. Is it up there?
Yeah, it's up there, but it's not playing. It's just okay. It's playing now.
Okay. All right, bet. So I'm gonna do what I do. Give me a second, man. I'm about to share the link the way I shared it with you to some more people. But you can see it. Y'all can see it though, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Peace, 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 peace. Yes, 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 man. I appreciate y'all coming in. Listen, wherever you are, wherever you tuned in at, man, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, fan base, peace. I appreciate and I salute you. Listen, grab a friend and tune in because y'all know the vibes, y'all know what it is, y'all know Brother Faheem or absolutely Brother Lee with logic. Y'all know what I do, man. I try to bring that information, man, mundane, the controversial, and the sensational. So, man, yeah, get this out, man, to all the people that enjoy knowledge, wisdom, and understanding because this is a great topic, and this is the perfect time of the year to get involved and to get to thinking about and considering topics of the sort, right? This is somewhat of a continuation of what I'm doing, y'all. I'm just trying to get people in here. This is somewhat of a continuation to the conversation Monday night that we had, which was the black man and the Democratic Party. There's so much stuff going on with the black man and the Democratic Party, so it's like, wow, you know, you know, how do we it's disheartening when I think about it, right? But how do we engage this stuff? How do we understand it? How do we interpret it, right? Well, it's always with critical thought. It's always with uh, research and analysis, because that helps us. Knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the beginning, right? Knowledge is the foundation for everything, for all things. So once we do the knowledge, or we study, and uh, what does it say in the Bible? It says, study to show yourself approved. Once you study and show yourself approved, you can then understand, right? After that knowledge comes that wisdom, that manifestation, right? And then leads to that understanding. So, man, it's good to have knowledge about these topics. So yeah, man, I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm just trying to get more people in here so they can watch it live. But this will always be up so you guys can watch the playback and go back and reference different things that you saw and heard. Man, I see 3 people in here already. Invite 3 more people, and we just keep that. We just keep that rotation going. We just keep everything flowing, going and flowing smooth. And please, 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 if you're on fan base, just throw something up in the chat, and I'll check it. I got the King Merch Life over there, the brother of God. He's holding that fort down for me. So, man, I appreciate y'all. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm just doing what I do per getting people in here, letting my people know I'm on. They get notified. I'm sending them that RSVP, that VIP. Like, come on through, man. Come on in and catch this live real quick. Yeah, but like I said, man, hopefully everybody's Wednesday. Hopefully everybody's Wednesday. Listen, when you do come in, man, over on fan base, hey, just make sure you stay muted. That's all. Just make sure you stay muted and use the chat. Y'all want to say something? Y'all got things to say on fan base? Just use the chat. The chat that'll suffice. Merch will be somebody will be checking it. I'm thinking Merch will be checking it, but you guys use that chat. And I see 2 people listening. Y'all go on in the comments and say what up. Announce yourself. Okay, it's 3 people. Hey, y'all invite some people. Get them in here. Bring them out. Bring them out. Bring them right on out. We want to get this thing going. Like I say, I'm just inviting people. Just getting people to come through. I appreciate y'all patience. Y'all are seekers of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and I can dig that because I'm the same way in all aspects of life, man. All aspects. I like to have understanding. It helps me to live and to grow, man. Y'all give me a few seconds, and I'm gonna just get started. Give me a few seconds. Let me get the people in here. But as you come in on YouTube, come into the comments on Fanbase, go into the comments, let people know you. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Lee? You know, this is such and such. Whoever, let me know that you're here. You in the house. You amongst the walking and breathing and kicking and screaming. Yeah. Yeah. I hope everybody watching had a beautiful day. Hope everybody's day was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate y'all being patient. Like I say, I'm just sending out the watch notices. And I'm gonna get started. Give me about 15 seconds. Somebody do a countdown. I'm gonna do it in my head. 10, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are send one more and we live. And we are live. We live and already. All right. Welcome, welcome, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, listen, I'm Brother Faheem, and I'm y'all's gracious and most humble host. Some of y'all know me as Brother Faheem. Others know me as Brother Lee. He is I, and I am him. Man, so much going on in the world. This is that time of the year, y'all. This is truly that time of the year with so much going on, with so much drama. And the proverbial LBC, it's kind of hard being Brother Faheem. You know, I have favorites. I have favorite times of the year, y'all. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. While I don't celebrate all of the holidays, I do observe a lot of them. Observing and celebrating are a little bit different, right? When you celebrate, that means you're engaged, you're partaking in it, right? you are holding up or erecting and internalizing the morals or the traditions and the customs. We don't do that. We observe in my home. What I mean by that is we'll take the day off. We'll take it. We'll take everything that comes with it. That doesn't mean we have to internalize it in our heart. It just means that it's a time for us to build and we create memories. We create meanings, right? And we always learn about the uh, the true meaning behind it, so that there's no confusion, and we have that tight grasp with reality, right? That's something that we have to all have to do, right? Have that tight grasp on reality, because again, that'll help you understand life and your station and where you are with person, places, or things. Have a great understanding. Um, but man, this time of the year, every 4 years, the way I like to describe it, it's almost like a drunk man, right? They say a drunk tongue speaks a sober mind. What do you mean by that, brother Faheem? What I mean is this time of year, people they show their character when it comes to the election, the voting, all of these things that are going on, right? People totally throw logic and reasoning and rationale out of the window. People forget that we live in America, y'all, where you have the right to vote whichever way you want to vote, and can't nobody be mad at you about it. You can't. It's a system that gives you a multitude of options. Really, it's a primarily two-party system, but you got independence. Hell, you could go into the voters booth and write somebody's name in there, right? Because when you get in there, it's at the top, the federal, and it goes all the way down, right? Uh, I've said on several platforms on several occasions that I am a supporter, not a fan, I'm a supporter of local politics. Local politics has a more imminent impact. It has a more direct, right, and a more visible turnout. You can absolutely see what it is that you voted for in real time, and you can touch and feel, right, whoever the local politicians are, your uh, your alderman, your mayor, your city councilman, your school board members. All of those people are on city council, are involved in local politics. So that's where we should really be focused from my perspective, right? However, when national politics comes, man, I'm seeing all types and hearing all types of discussions in this season. I went to the real quick before I get started. I went to the VA and I told some of you guys this. I had to go give blood the other day, and it was a brother in there, and it's cool going to the VA because it's always older veterans. I'm a veteran, so it's always older veterans in there, and you get to talk to them. I learn. I'm most of the time I'm listening, y'all. I don't have as much to say when I'm in. If y'all meet me in person, I'm really a quiet guy, right? Who likes to just look, listen, and observe, right? Because that's how I can interpret life, right? That's how my processor works. So I'm sitting in there and I'm, talking to the brother, and he had a name. His name was Marvin, and he was a good guy. He was cool. And we got to talking about, the soul singer Marvin Gaye. And I was like, man, that's my favorite soul singer. You know what I'm saying? Marvin is that dude. Still today, I love Marvin. True story. And he said, I'm getting ready to leave. He said, did you vote, young brother? Are you voting? And I said, no, I didn't, and I'm not. You mean the national election? He was like, yeah. Nah, I'm going to pass on that. He was like, brother, man, we need you to vote. You're doing us a disservice by not voting. And in my mind, I'm like, do I want to engage this today? Do I have the time? Yeah, I got the time today. I'm not gonna be rude. I'm gonna tell him what's up. I said, no, man, I don't vote, but how am I hurting us by not voting? He said, well, we don't want to get a racist in office. That guy's a racist. I said, brother, I hate to break it to you, but they all racist in office. And it's neither, none of them have our best interest. If you're talking about black people, none of them have our best interest at heart. And I'm not with all that lesser of the two evils. But I do respect the man who comes out and shows me he's a wolf, right? Rather than one who is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And he wanted to go into it. I said, brother, you be cool. Good luck with your vote. Now I say that story because brother apparently he wanted to get on his bully pulpit and he wanted to teach a young person, even though I'm well into my 40s, he wanted to teach a young person a lesson, you know. But I'm thinking like the nerve, the temerity. Why you even need to go into that? Who I vote for, first of all, is none of anybody's concern. But second of all, isn't it my right as a citizen? Third of all, hey, bro, you don't know what my background is. You don't know where I'm from, who I am. But don't try to shame me for voting for for not participating, right, in that process, or not believing, right, or not having an expectation of that whole system and that process. People do what they want to do. You can go smoke crack. That don't mean I'm gonna smoke it with you, and I'm not gonna judge you for smoking. And I know what the effects are. Same way with the voting, but that's typically every 4 years. People get emotional and riled up. That's why I want to tell you guys that story, because people get real emotional, and that's just like a life story. But Monday, I did the live on the black male and the black man in the Democratic Party. And I did that because I saw something that was disturbing to me. I saw Michelle Obama get on stage and equate misogyny with voting for Trump. That's crazy. Now, don't y'all be mad at me, because I'm getting ready to say and show y'all a lot of things, right, about y'all's favorite president, Mr. Barack Obama. I'm not, I'll reserve that for the end. What I'm gonna, my thoughts on Mr. Barack, our former president, Obama. But when I did the live, I went back and I was like, it was cool. I wonder if it was more though. I kept on seeing where people were saying Barack had made statements, and I said, did he? Barack made statements? And so I went back and looked some stuff up, and I said, oh, let's look and see. Let me see what he said. And when I looked it up, I was like, wow, okay. Now it makes sense why she said what she said. I get it now. I get it. But that's been Barack's MO for a long time. People outside of Chicago wouldn't know that. But Barack Obama has been a person that uses what we would call in political science uh, politics of respectability, right? So this is what everybody was talking about. This is the clip of Barack Obama, and this is what he had to say. This is why, this is one of the reasons why the name of this is Misogyny or Policy, Black Male Voting Patterns. That says this. What I'm telling y'all is this, or what I'm trying to say to you is this. Is it really misogyny, y'all, the reason why black men are moving away from the Democratic Party? Or is it because of these bogus policies or inadequate uh, follow through on policies? Could it be that, rather than just black men having a problem with female leadership? But let's listen to what uh, our former president had to say.
I'm going to go ahead and just say speak some truths, if you don't mind. Yes. Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly. And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities, from housing to making sure that our mothers, and our fathers, and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act so everybody's got health, and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting out? But, you know, because of Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's not, this shouldn't even be a question.
Woo! Wow. Wow. I like how our former president totally disregarded the fact that many brothers work for and alongside women daily. Right? We have no issues with that. Brothers have no problem with that. I'm gonna get into the evidence because I don't want to. I know how my people. I know how y'all are. y'all would argue with a stop sign. Some of y'all don't believe the stop sign. So y'all would just keep on going through that joint. But that was problematic though, wasn't it? That was a tall tale. That was some tall statements that he made because it totally glossed over. It had it implied that misogyny is the reason why we're not voting for Kamala. We're so hell bent on a woman staying in her place. We just couldn't fathom Kamala being us voting for her. And it was funny to me. He said she was raised like us. She went to a black college. Brother, brother. The minister be saying, brother, if she went to a black college, why she marry a white dude? Last I checked, Kamala Harris is an Indian from India. Hey, Barack. Well, anyhow, that's crazy. That's crazy. But the point being, you gloss over it. You totally throw out and negate these facts. And it lets you off the hook as a party because now you don't have to address those inadequacies that you might be responsible for. You would rather play politics of respectability. That's crazy. But this is who you guys, this is who we love. This is who these people come out here and they I heard a young lady say they play in our faces and we go for it every single time. And it's despicable. Despicable. I I love it's a brother on fan base. Shout out to my man Dukes Lee on fan base. Shout out to Dukes Lee. If y'all watching on fan base, shout out to my brother Dukes Lee. He has a black Congress that he's trying to erect. Uh, and brothers, brothers doing this thing. I mention him because oftentimes in this brother's rooms, he utilizes he utilizes Dr. Claude Anderson as a person. He wrote a few books, right? He wrote a book called uh, Powernomics. I got it over here. Powernomics. He wrote Powernomics. He wrote Black Labor, White Wealth. Very great books. They outline how wealth was uh, gerrymandered away, how different legislations were made for rural, for Caucasian people, and how they were taken away from. That's the book back there behind it, and how they were taken away from African Americans, right, former slaves. But I just wanted, before I got started, I'm gonna let this is Dr. Claude Anderson himself. I wanted to let you guys hear what he said, what he had to say. By the way, this brother was he had a storied career in the government in Florida. He worked for the state of Florida. He wrote the affirmative action plan for Florida. So he was heavily involved. You can see him on what is it, Hidden Colors to Rebellious to Read Nasheed. You can go to the internet. You can go to YouTube and type in Claude Anderson. He's all over the place. But he was on the Breakfast Club as he's been on there a few times. But this is what he had to say about our former president.
What do you think of Barack Obama being president?
But Barack Obama is a joke. Barack Obama didn't do a darn thing for black folk. As a matter of fact, he hurt black folk in two ways. First of all, he had 8 years to do something for black folk, but he carefully and judiciously and judiciously avoided doing anything for black folk. And most of my white friends told me in politics, and I was always with president governors. They say, "Hell, we would never voted for Obama. If we known he's gonna do something for black folk. We knew he would never do anything for black folk." And so, but that's the first thing. He never did anything for black folk. But he used that old thing that they did back in Philadelphia in 1789. He used very broad, ambiguous terms. I'm the president of all the people.
They like to say a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's a stupid thing.
Yeah, because black people boat got a hole in it.
That's right. It's in the bottom of the damn lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said this before. I like to listen to, when it comes to legal matters, I like to listen to legal experts. When it comes to political matters, I like to listen to political experts, right? Whether it's me listening to them directly or it's me talking to them, having a conversation with them via a book, something that they have written. So I don't know where to begin. I think I'm going to begin right here. This is a book I purchased years ago, right? I purchased this years ago back in Chicago. The price of the ticket, I was really drawn in by the aesthetic, right? That's like hot and cold, right? To me, that's like bitter and sweet to me when I saw this. This is a book, The Price of the Ticket, Barack Obama and the Rise and Decline of Black Politics. This chronicles Barack Obama's journey through politics, starting in when he was an activist, right? Doing things in Chicago for steel workers, all the way when he ran for Congress against Bobby Rush and lost, all the way to making it to the White House, right? And it chronicles a lot of his speeches, right? And so when I heard what he was saying, I was like, wow, I've heard this before. This ain't Barack Obama's first time saying some shit like this. He kind of, a leopard, what do they say? A leopard don't change his spot, something like that. I don't know. I don't like leopards. But but nonetheless, when you really study Barack Obama, you won't be surprised. He said and done this before, Black people. Let me read this to you. So this is in the chapter entitled Entering the Land of Milk and Honey. And it's discussing Barack Obama in Congress and as a senator. And it says this: while Barack Obama appears not to embrace the gospel of prosperity, he does believe that greater individual responsibility on the part of Blacks is needed if they plan to make it to the land of milk and honey. In a celebrated speech given at a commemoration of the Selma Voting Rights March at Brown Chapel AME Church on March 4th, 2007, Obama talked about the obligation of the Joshua generation. The Joshua generation, if you're looking at it biblically, you got the Moses generation. That was the civil rights movement, right? The civil rights. That was the older generation. But then you got the Joshua. For those of you all who are familiar with the final call, you know that the Joshua generation is what we were dubbed by the Minister Lewis, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? That's the youth, the young people. He told the audience that the Moses generation of the civil rights movement had fought hard for Black Americans to receive their rights. Now it was time for the succeeding Joshua generation, as told in the biblical story of the Exodus, to take Black America to the promised land. Obama reminded the audience, which included members of the Moses generation, such as Reverend Joseph Lowry and Congressman John Lewis, right? Good trouble guy. Not to be blinded by materialism and not to forget where you came from. Kennedy also mentioned that the principles that the previous generation fought for, such as the enforcement of anti-discrimination laws and affirmative action, still have to be vigilantly fought for every day. I'm gonna fast forward. In its sojourn to the promised land, the Joshua generation, from Obama's perspective, has lost its way. We have too many children in poverty in this country, and everybody should be ashamed. But don't tell me it doesn't have little to do with the fact that we got too many daddies not acting like daddies. It is the responsibility of the current generation, Obama informed the audience, to fight against the oppressor in each of us. The presidential candidate distanced himself from the prophetic tradition of Black political culture in the aftermath of the Reverend Wright incident. For those of you all who don't remember, let's go down memory lane. Reverend Wright, the minister at Trinity Baptist. If you ever in Chicago, you got to go to Reverend Wright's church. Black images, Black Jesus, the original man, the melanated man, is heavily represented in that church. But remember, they pulled him up in 2008 and they had that clip. He said, "God damn America." Remember that, y'all? And they used that against Barack Obama. They took a clip of it and they used it as they do in national politics. And Barack had to distance himself. We understood that. You're looking at the guy who voted in 2008 for Barack Obama, right? So that's the Reverend Wright incident that this is talking about. But Obama also embraced an ideological tradition of racial uplift, what has become known as the politics of respectability. That is just as old in Black religion and politics as the prophetic tradition. As a candidate for the presidency of the United States, he did not decry the United States for its unfair treatment of Black people in both the past and the present. He instead proclaimed the failure of Blacks themselves to hold up their end of the bargain as citizens in a nation full of freedom and opportunity. In other words, he didn't give us the full scale story, right? He did not. He just looked at one side of it, right? I'm going to keep going forward, right? The election of Barack Obama and his adoption of his rhetoric during the 2008 presidential campaign raised the prominence of respectability in American politics and society to new heights. The racially transcendent rhetoric of the Obama campaign, whose surrogates constantly repeated the refrain, Obama is not a Black man running for president, but a presidential candidate who happens to be Black, right? Made the politics of respectability even more palatable as a public philosophy. Indeed, respectability served dual purpose for the Obama campaign. It was used as a tactical ploy to shore up support among skeptical white voters concerned that an Obama administration would favor minorities. In other words, it was a dog whistle. Hey, I'm not favoring them. See how I'm criticizing? That's the same thing Bill Clinton did when he talked about Sister Soldier in the 90s. Go back and look it up. It also functioned as a familiar discourse that reinforced the candidate's connection with Black voters under the guise of tough love. In Black America, the presidential candidate who happens to be Black was elevated with ease to the rank of Mr. Respectability Mr. Respectability in Chief, a role that Obama was more than eager to assume on his trek to the White House. What I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, is that this is nothing new for Barack Obama. He's been saying wild shit like this, and it's been a strategy, right? This is nothing new. What is different about today's politics of respectability is that it has evolved into a public philosophy that influences policy debates about the Black poor. The focus on public behavior and the personal habits of poor Blacks, especially concerning the breakdown of the nuclear Black family and the lack of personal responsibility among Black males, has shifted policy discussion towards a near wholesome emphasis on how the individual failings of the Black poor have stifled their progress, and away from explanations that focus on how social and economic barriers impede the progress of the Black poor. In other words, it's convenient for you to talk about politics of respectability, right? Accountability, without mentioning those systemic barriers that exist. If you're going to talk about one, talk about the other one. Be balanced, right? What is particularly powerful about the politics of respectability is that its purveyors run the ideological gamut in Black politics, joining together Black liberals, Black conservatives, and Black nationalists into an army of crusaders who think the Black poor and Blacks who behave like them need special instruction, rather than seeing the poor as citizens who have the right to advocate policies on their behalf. The proponents of respectability tell poor Black people to shape up and deliver homilies stressing that there are no excuses for their plight. Respectability as a public philosophy also demands little from government to solve the problems of poverty because it blames the Black poor for not being productive citizens. I just wanted to read that to you guys. The Price of the Ticket. It's out there. It's a great book. It's a really great book. because it goes into a lot of his history and it shows you exactly who our first black president is. Like it said, he's not a black president. He's a man running for president that happens to be black. But hey, you can't tell some of y'all. I know my people, right? I know you guys. You can't tell some of y'all. You can't say anything about Mr. Barack Obama because it'll be a fight. You can get your invite revoked if you speak ill of Mr. Barack Obama. And one more thing that I want to read to you guys. This is from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, The Fall of America, right? Great book. Another great book that should be mandatory reading in all your homes. If you're listening, it should be in your home. Now, this is from, I saw Brother Ishmael talking about this, and I thought it was genius, right? So I figured I would share it with you guys, because maybe you guys don't keep up with the nation and the message. You should. You should get all, you should get the NGE, the 5%, you should get the nation, you should get all of that knowledge. The more you should get all that root knowledge, because it'll only help you make intelligent decisions about your life, especially in this time that we are in right now. But chapter 8 is the national election. This is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said back then. The black man of America has been privileged by the slave master's children for the last century to vote for whites for the offices to judge and rule. This freedom to vote has made the black man in America feel very dignified and proud of himself. He goes to the polls very happy to vote for a white ruler. Today, he is gradually changing to a desire to vote for his own kind for such offices and authority. We must remember that our vote is strong and powerful only when and where the white man can use it to get in the office over his white opponent. After the election and the victory, there are very few favors that come from his office to black voters who helped and aided him in getting in the office. Why? Because he does not owe the black voter anything as long as he has to feed, clothe, and shelter him. I forget I'm getting old. That's understandable. That's understandable what I just read. I have no qualms with that. That is understandable. You who have children, you feed, you house, you shelter your children. Hey, you getting everything you need. You getting everything you need. What more? I'll give you what you want as I see fit. So what is he saying? Black people are already in an infantile state, right? Under this system, mentally and physically. And then you expect something more for your vote when you yourself don't do for yourself. Accept your own and be yourself, right? Which of the candidates that you're voting for, Trump or Kamala, has something that can help you in that way, right? It's going to help you to make yourself more independent, make yourself move away from this capitalist system and create your own, right? The black vote could be cast or not cast. The white citizens of the government are going to win and continue to rule anyway. There is much talk of this man and that man. Who shall the vote of the people put in the White House for the next 4 years? How much good have the two parties, the Democrat and the Republican, or excuse me, to get it right and exact, how much good have the two parties, Republican and Democrat, done for us for the last century in the way of freedom, justice, and equality? I'm going to read that again. How much good have the two parties, Republican and Democrat, done for us the last century in the way of freedom, justice, and equality? Regardless what party wins, the die is always set against us, black people in America. Injustice, crooked politics, and the breeding of corruption under crooked politics have been practiced ever since Adam to the present day ruler. To the present day ruler, Adam was the first crook. There has not been justice for the black man in this race of people, and this is why the race suffers from the effect of chaos today. There are black politicians who would like to use their black people for selfish greed and will throw them behind any crook with money. Black politicians of this type have sold their black brothers to suffering and shame for self-evaluation with the crook. This election is one of the most serious in the history of American government because either party that seeks the office of presidency is faced with the problem of saving the lives of the people of America. If the present party, Democratic, remains in office, you know the answer. If the Republican Party takes over, you should know the answer. There will be a lull before the storm. The storm can be delayed, and every hour and day that it can be delayed is to your benefit. The black man, listen. The black man and woman, I'm adding that woman in there. The black man and woman should be very serious and careful about his or her, that's Faheem, or her voting because 90% of black votes cast are cast by ones who do not have the knowledge of what they are casting their vote for. I'm going to read that again. The black man should be very serious and careful about his voting because 90% of the black votes cast are cast by ones who do not have the knowledge of what they are casting their vote for. I still say, as I have said for many years, vote for Allah, God, to be your ruler and come follow me. Yeah, that was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking to us. And it's a very relevant and a very classic message. I like what he said, though. He said 90% of our votes, people don't even know why they're voting. And it's apparent when you're in these rooms, when you're in these conversations, what are people pulling up by way of policy items, numbers, stats? See, because if you're telling me that Trump, he spoke out against the Central Park 5, and he did. If you're telling me Trump misused his tenants as a absent and slumlord, and he did. Talk about how Joe Biden was a racist for years. Talk about how Joe Biden and Bill Clinton wrote the 3 strike laws that still got a lot of my brothers locked up today. And they are now marijuana is legal. You can buy a CBD store now, right? You can invest in a CBD store. But a lot of brothers up under that act, that crack and cocaine, right? They got a whole lot of time for non-violent offenses. When Joe Biden said he didn't give a damn what these kids' economic situations was, he didn't want them on the street. When he said he didn't want his children in school with black people, talk about that too. Just make it a balanced discussion is all I'm asking, right? But you won't do that, though. I mean, you will do that. You won't talk about the policies. That's what I'm trying to say. You won't talk about the policies. You'd rather involve yourself in foolishness like that, political theatrics like that, because that's easier, right? But you don't know what these people are running for. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was trying to say. And that's the rhetoric that I hear when I listen to these conversations, when I engage people like the brother at the VA. He's a racist. Brother, they all racist. What you talking about? So, yeah, I want to share some things with you guys that I saw. Some more clips, right? Some more clips that I thought were interesting, that will further get into what we're talking about: misogyny versus policy, black male voting patterns. I'm gonna read my comments. Zay Bailey, hilarious, LOL. A Jewish dude too, right? My man checking in from New Orleans is Kid Great. That's my brother, y'all. This hat is a skier's hat. This is my favorite hat in the whole world. Black on. I love it. I love this hat. Protect your peace. Get rid of toxicity. Cleanse your space. Cultivate love. I gotta wash it soon, this kid, because I be wearing it so much, man. I think I'm gonna put a suit on and wear it with my suit. You know how you think that I wear it backwards. Y'all go to my man's site, Chinese Baby Company, and support. Pick up some merch today. But yeah, it's been a couple of conversations around the criticism that Barack Obama uh, dished out to black men in that clip that I showed y'all, right? It's been panels. People been talking about it, right? So I'm just going to show y'all just a couple of different voices, a couple of different people had a few things to say so y'all can understand and y'all can get what these political pundits, what they're saying and how they feel about Mr. Obama saying what he said. Let me pull this up. And I appreciate everybody coming on in. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you. Wherever you are. Wherever you are, I appreciate y'all. If you on Facebook, if you're on my Facebook page, hey, share it out. If you're on my YouTube, share it out. And if you're on fan base, ping some people into the room. So, what is his name? Wendell Pierce. He was in Malcolm X. He was Bunk in The Wire. He's in Raising Canaan. He's a new character. Him and his wife are on there together. They were Canaan's Connect. But it's him and a few more people discussing things. Now, in this clip, there's a brother on here. I'm assuming he's from the Republican Party. He's a conservative, right? But he says something that I think that is worth listening to. And it's real swift, real quick. He said, there has been. Well, I'll let him tell you. But he's talking about our voting patterns and the direction that we've been going and that we've been seeing with Pew Research, PEW. If y'all go to Pew Research, you get a whole lot of stats, a whole lot of quantitative data, right, that you can measure and kind of point to what we're doing because they researching nationwide, right? People's voting patterns and different things like that. So y'all check this out.
Right among
Absolutely.
Black men.
I mean, we've been talking about that not only on this show, on other shows on this network for over a year. Pew.
And you probably believe, I guess, I assume, that there is some movement toward the right among
Absolutely.
Black men.
I mean, we've been talking about that not only on this show.
We had you on last week when this happened. You were critical of it then.
Yeah.
And you probably believe, I guess, I assume, that there is some movement toward the right among
Absolutely.
Black men.
I mean, we've been talking about that not only on this show, on other shows on this network for over a year. Pew has been studying this issue. There is a clear trend among Black men towards the Republican Party and away from Democrats. It's not just about Trump or Biden or Kamala. It's about a party effect. And the question is, why is that? I think it's even bigger than Black men. I think it's men in general. I think there's something about the Democratic Party
I think it's
that is
significant.
a lot.
It's
probably 20.
Yeah, Mr. Pierce, he jumped in. That was a little bit on the rude side, right? But I just wanted y'all to hear real quick. My man said, "Hey, there's been a move, and it's not just about Black men, right? It's men in general. But why are people moving away from the Democratic Party? Why are we seeing people move away? And so, let's take a look. Let's look into just that, right? But we're gonna talk about why Black men are moving away, right? As always, man, I want y'all to look up these articles, look it up for yourself. The Survey Center on American Life, a newsletter from March 21st, 2024. And it says Black men are rapidly abandoning the Democratic Party. Y'all gotta forgive me. My eyes are getting bad. I gotta make this stuff bigger. Black men are rapidly abandoning the Democratic Party, but are Black women? After generations of unwavering support for the Democratic Party, Black Americans appear to be reassessing their commitment to the party. John Byrne Murdoch recently wrote that American politics is undergoing a racial realignment, showing a significant decline in Democratic affiliation, while Nate Silver suggested that Democrats are hemorrhaging support with voters of color. Recent polls recently show a softening of Black support for Democrats, a troubling development for the party. But what's less clear is how much the decline is Democratic affiliation, but what's less clear is how much the decline in Democratic affiliation reflects a fundamental shift in political orientation versus a sign of general unhappiness with current political conditions and party leadership, right? So they don't know whether it's we don't want to be Democrats anymore, or we just not in agreement with this shit y'all got going on. So it shows, right? Democrats' advantage with non-white voters has been rapidly eroding and is now at its weakest since the 1960s, right? You see this with us. Here's 1960, right? We went up, we plateaued, and now we're going down. How much of this is about Joe Biden? Back in 2020, my former colleague Rob Griffin and I found that Biden was performing worse among Black voters than Hillary Clinton. This is a consistent pattern with Biden. This is not unique. This is not unique to Black voters. He struggles to maintain the support of traditional Democratic constituencies. The timing of this decline in Democratic identity is another reason to believe that Joe Biden may have something to do with it. According to the ANES and CES polling data cited by Byrne Murdoch, Democratic affiliation among Black Americans plunged in 2020. Gallup surveys show the drop in affiliation occurring even later, mostly in the years following Biden's election. Black Americans view Biden more favorably than other Americans, but do not believe he has done much to help them. What's more, the Biden campaign's decision to focus the 2024 election on safeguarding democracy does not appear to be resonating among Black voters. As recent Reuters Ipsos poll found that Black voters were far less concerned than other leaning groups about the threat Trump poses to the country's political system. I'm going to read that again. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll found that Black voters were far less concerned than other left-leaning groups about the threat Trump poses to the country's political system. That's interesting, because I remember when Trump was first running and he became the boogeyman, right? The Democrats really didn't have any platform. They really didn't have any policy items to stand on. Their major push was, let's not let this fascist, racist, bigoted, grab them by the coochie, individual get in the office. But what are you offering us, though? Because the research is saying that we don't give a damn. We're not scared of this so-called overhaul and this damage that Trump is going to do. So really, what are you going to offer us? What I think Janet Jackson said it best. Like, what are you offering us? What have you done for me lately? Biden's Black supporters, who make up about a fifth of his political base, were considerably less likely than his white backers to respond in the poll that they were voting to stop Trump. 37 to 65% Black Democrats were also less likely than white Democrats to say they were worried about a presidential candidate stealing an election or partisan state legislatures overturning its results. That's foolish. I remember when people say shit like that, man, I be thinking to myself, man, it ain't gonna be no coup in America. They'll never let that happen. They will never let that happen, man. Oliver Tambo said this of South Africa about apartheid. He said, maybe this thing is so powerful that they would burn it down before they would allow somebody to take it over or change it. I'm saying the same thing about America. This thing is so powerful, this capitalist structure, this big business, this corporation that is America. They're not letting anybody take over, not even their own people. They're not. They're going to keep that power. They're going to keep that wealth and those resources safeguarding. I'm not worried about no foolish president. This is not one of those countries where it's unstable, where they can perform a coup. This not happening. A coup d'etat. It's not going to happen. Black voters were critical to Biden winning the Democratic nomination in 2020, but he has struggled to connect with younger Black Americans as president. Only about half, 51% of Black Americans under the age of 50 have a favorable view of Biden compared to 82% of Black Americans over 50. So that Moses generation, they still are in love with Biden, or they were in love with Biden. But the Joshua generation is not. Younger Black Americans less positive about Biden. That's one thing about young people. In any movement, the civil rights movement, any movement, the youth is always the vanguard. They always are leading the charge. It's always young people. If your movement consists of elderly, old people, guess what? You in a dying movement. You need to recruit some young people. You need to recruit some young soldiers. Old men for wisdom, young men for war. Black women still support the Democratic Party. If we're witnessing a once in a generation racial realignment, it seems that Black women are not following the same script. There's been some erosion of Democratic identity generally, but it's been relatively modest. In 2023, 72% of Black women identify as Democrats or lean towards the party, compared to 58% of Black men. It's men who have experienced the most dramatic decline. In 2014, roughly 8 to 10 Black women, 82%, and Black men, 78%, identified as Democrats. Today, Black men are 20 points less Democratic than they were during Obama's second term. So, yes, we are seeing where there's a divide, right? Black men, we're not convinced, right? And we are charged with protecting. We are charged with providing. The Black man is the head coach. When the team loses, the head coach gets all of the blame. When the team wins, he may or may not get the praise. Maybe it's the star player. Monday, if you go back and watch that live I did on Monday, I read an article that talked about how Black men, the relationship with the Democratic Party, and it said, a lot of times when the Democratic Party loses, they blame it on the Black man, but when they win, there's no celebration for the Black man, right? There's nothing that says, hey, the Black man tipped the scale. He votes. We primarily, the Black man and woman, we primarily vote the same, right? I mean, those numbers weren't too far off, maybe 78%. We still, by and large, we are still voting Democrat. The Black men are. It's only a small percent who are now moving over to be conservative, but that's their business, though. More power to them, brothers. But it was another pundit that had something to say about Barack Obama Barack Obama and Black males, Black men, in our voting patterns, right? How we're voting, right? So I want y'all to see this one. And I appreciate somebody in that Los. I think that's King Los. I see you, bro. I think that's my brother. What's going on, Los, man? Long time no see, brother. We've seen this, if you 30 plus, yo, on the political rent cycle. The policy is benign neglect becomes malign project. Yeah, absolutely. We have seen benign neglect. In other words, they don't pay us any attention. They don't really have any initiative for us, right? And I'm pulling up this next clip for you guys that I want you guys to see. Here we go. This is what I wanted for you guys to see. This sister was talking. Former Ohio delegate. They'll show her name, but she has some pretty interesting statements about black men and voting, and I would love for you guys to listen. I'm not sure if you saw it already, but you're gonna see it again on here.
I
mean, women.
and by the way, Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a mentor, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. And why? As a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Walz campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right that one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of a woman?
It might be some listen, black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Walz campaign going to lecture other male groups in the same way that they're lecturing
This is
black
not
men?
just about,
I don't think so.
It's not just about Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I thought the sister said it more eloquently than I ever could have put. Damn, it feels good to see a sister like the fine sister up there breaking it down. Wow. Like she said, are you gonna lecture everybody else like that? And people have their reasons, right? That goes right into what I'm saying. Is it misogyny or is it policy? The article I read, it talked about when they were in Atlanta, and they had a meeting, a seminar, a conference with men, and they were talking about politics and their reason for being inactive. The reasons that they stated were ineffective or inadequate marketing campaigns and stalled policy promises that had been made. In other words, y'all not coming to talk to black men and see what they want, right? And then what you are promising, you delayed up on it. So why should we now continue to get behind this when we are, by and large, expected to provide all of these things that the government can help us with, right? I want to say that Kamala said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, y'all can write it in the chat if you're on fan base, you can write it in the comments if you're on YouTube. Kamala said she was going to provide, the resources or the tools to build wealth. She was going to provide adequate justice, right? Basically, she was going to provide all of those things necessary for any and all Americans to be successful, to care for their families, right? But now, has that been what's going on? Has that been what we've seen, right? Has that been what we've seen? It's late, so I want to play one more thing. I want to play this one more clip because this really drives it home. I'm not and then I'm gonna speak to you guys. I'm not a person. I'm gonna be honest. Stephen A. Smith is a typical loudmouth New Yorker most of the time, right? Wants to be heard, right about everything. Uh, and I just blow him off. Like, that's what he does. But he was on the money this time. I thought what he had to say was poignant. I thought it was precise. And I thought that, uh, yeah, he was spot on. So this is a little bit lengthy, but I want you guys to pay close attention because he really sums up at least how I feel, right? And I suspect how many of us feel, right? Black men, with our relationship to the Democratic Party, this idea that we're misogynist and we don't have the political aptitude to understand what we are voting for, right? And what we don't want to see. We're very smart. We're very astute, right? And we love our families and we want what's best for our families, right? So listen to Brother Smith break it right on down.
I have to get started with some politics because I've had something on my mind that I've been holding in for the last few days or so, and I'm not going to hold it in anymore. It's specifically the presidential election, which is just over 2 weeks away. National polls show former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris essentially in a dead heat heading towards November 5th. Both campaigns were on the trail over the last week or so, including this weekend, including some of the surrogates as well. And for Kamala Harris, that would include former President Barack Obama, who hit the trail stumping for Democrats. The former president made headlines this weekend, actually a few days before this weekend as well, speaking to a forum of black men in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Obama spoke directly to all men who may be considering not voting or voting for Donald Trump in this election cycle. Before I go any further, I want you to hear exactly what this man had to say.
I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable.
Respectfully, President Obama, what you said is not acceptable. I'm going to say it again. Respectfully, what you said is not acceptable. Not to me, not to a host of black men out there who's not even thinking about voting for Donald Trump. What you said is unacceptable. I'll tell you why in a minute. But before I do that, I want to go to Khalil Thompson, co-founder and executive director of Win with Black Men, who responded to criticism of Obama's comments. Take a look at what he had to say here. Quote, I believe President Obama is speaking to a tangible, visceral understanding of what it means for all men to relate to women in America. Calling out misogyny is not wrong, end quote. To co-founder Khalil Thompson, you're wrong too. And what you said is unacceptable. You see, what you're missing is that you're basically accusing black men who come up with a reason to not support Kamala Harris as engaging in misogyny. Whatever happened to disagreeing without being disagreeable, President Obama? What happened to that? All of a sudden, we want to challenge men and our love and our affection as black men for black women, we want to bring that into question because we've got an election coming up and people may have the temerity to think differently than you? It's because she's a woman that she's in danger of losing this election? Didn't Hillary Clinton win the popular vote in 2016? Didn't she get over 2.8 million more votes than Donald Trump in the popular vote for the 2016 election? Last time I checked, she's a woman. Are we there sitting here and implying that black men would be more apropos to support a white woman than a black woman? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're saying? It's a rhetorical question because it makes no sense to me. Before I go even further, let's hear more from Mr. Khalil Thompson himself. Quote, "We're not a monolith. However, we are just like every other American in this country who wants a good paying job that we can provide for our children and participate in their lives and the lives of our partner, that we can get them home safely, afford to go to the grocery store, save a little for retirement, and have a vacation." There is absolutely nothing wrong with that explanation, Khalil Thompson. Why didn't you say that from the jump? What's up with the misogyny comments? I will have you know, and President Obama, our 44th president of the United States, who I voted for not once but twice, who was the president from 2009 to 2017, who to me was exemplary, who to me had the greatest first lady in the history of this country, who has been a phenomenal role model to black people and to black men and the men across this globe. That same Barack Obama, how could you say something like that? How could you ignore the facts that are lying in front of all of us? You don't want Trump to be president. We think that Trump could be an unmitigated disaster. In my opinion, he'll be on a revenge tour. In my opinion, there's a lot of things he bloviated about and didn't deliver on. We don't want to get into too much about COVID. We don't want to get into much about him overblowing his contribution to HBCUs, the wall that he was going to build, and the Mexican was going to pay for it. He ended up building 2% of the wall, and the Mexicans didn't pay a dime. We could get into a whole bunch of stuff about him. That's a given. I understand that. But let's get back to the part about black men. That's what we're going to talk about right now. That's what we're going to talk about. President Obama, why didn't you tell the folks with the cameras rolling and the black men in attendance that there's been diminishing black voters, particularly black men, since you were in office? In 2008, 95% of the black populace voted for Barack Obama. It dipped in 2012 by about 6 to 8%. It dipped another 6% in 2016 when Hillary was running. It dipped even more in 2020 when Trump ran against Biden. It's been dipping since 2008. It didn't just start. Was that about misogyny? Was that about a hesitancy to support our women? I am getting sick and tired of black men being raked through the coals because of some imagery of not being supportive of black women. Do you know what most black men would do if they saw a black woman getting harmed in the streets? They put their lives on the line for that sister. We talked about the absence of black fathers in the past. What do we do simultaneously? We applaud the mothers who've uplifted us, who've nurtured us, who've made us into who we are. I can make an argument. No one loves women, particularly black women, more than black men. No one. You must know this. Black men support the Democratic Party more than everyone but black women. That means we support the Democratic Party more than white women, more than white men, more than Latino women, more than Latino men, more than Asian women, more than Asian men. Nobody, in terms of percentage, supports the Democratic Party more than black people. Black women first, black men second. Even as we sit here today, as Kamala Harris is neck and neck with Donald Trump, she's getting at least 80% of the black vote, according to the polls. And if there's a question mark about her, why don't we tell the truth? It may very well have nothing to do with her, per se, but what she has inherited. You have a president in Joe Biden who has his own history. Don't get me started with the crime bill of 1994. We want to bring up Trump in the 70s and rent control and all and denying rent to black folks. We don't want to bring up Biden and how he got along with segregationists in the 70s. We don't want to bring up how Kamala Harris, then a presidential candidate in 2020, called him out for his support of segregationists when it came to busing. We want to ignore that. You don't think black people heard that? You don't think there's some trepidation in the hearts and the minds of black people from time to time? At least from the past? Not even talking about what he's done during this administration, which some people will believe his policies and his heart have been in the right place in some of their eyes. You're President Obama. How do you ignore that? Inflation, the cost of living, the price of gas, the price of groceries. That don't matter? Folks ain't paying attention to that? Immigration and our borders. And this belief that there's an elevated level of sensitivity towards them, as opposed to black folks struggling, if not starving in this country. Yes, that plays a role too. I brought it up right here on this show. When the mayor of New York was talking about $53 million in prepaid credit cards for immigrants who came across our borders illegally and having prepaid credit cards for them. And I said, wait a minute, black folks been starving for years. We ain't get that. You don't think they notice? You don't think they notice? Is it possible that the only reason some black folks, not me, but some black folks may not be inclined to vote, or they may be a bit disenchanted, or dare I say may even be willing to go as far as voting for Trump? Is it possible that it's policy as opposed to misogyny? Is it possible that they've looked at a Democratic Party that is locked in on addressing or not addressing immigration and folks crossing the borders illegally, and have prioritized focusing on that, along with other issues, identity politics and beyond, that has become such a focal point that has turned off folks in the African-American community? Some, not most, not all, just some. Is that possible? And is it possible that that is the reason why even Kamala Harris herself has become a bit more assertive in addressing the issue of immigration, in addressing the economy, in addressing a plan for Black America as opposed as it pertains to facilitating more business loans for minority ownership and things of that ilk? Is it possible that Black folks, particularly Black men, more so than the Black women, who you look at Roe v. Wade and the women's rights and what have you, in Trump's position, they're like, he's got no chance in hell of luring them in. But is it possible that when it comes to the men, The men are saying, wait a minute, get all that. But what you gonna do for us? Could it be the issues as opposed to just misogyny? You know the answer to that question better than me, Barack Obama. The right may have a problem with you. Folks on the left, Democrats, progressives, you're revered. As a black man who is an independent, you are an incredible role model and somebody that I have admired for years. But to say that to black men, to attribute their hesitancy, their reluctance, their reticence to support Kamala Harris, to you just don't want to support a woman, really? Respectfully, sir, that's messed up. That's a messed up thing to accuse black men of, when you know good and damn well there are a plethora of reasons for us to point to than that to justify our apprehension. Doesn't mean you ain't gonna vote for her. Doesn't mean you don't want her to win. But my Lord, is it a crime to not be ultra excited when you see some of the choices that are before us, and you see the decisions that have been made and the messages that have been disseminated? A black man asking, what about us, is not a crime. It's not misogyny. It's us exercising our rights as American citizens to question why you should have our support, which you yourself as the president for 8 years told us we had every right to do. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Love me some Barack Obama. Always have, always will. Just very disappointed that you would say that to black men who are a bit apprehensive. I'm voting for Kamala, so you weren't talking to me. But still, it's not right for you to say that, sir. It's just wrong.
Yeah, I gotta agree with everything Stephen A. said, because he was right on the. He was right on the money, y'all. But again, going to the book, that was Barack Obama's whole strategy, becoming president on his road to the White House. Politics of respectability. That's what he used. And this wasn't the first instance. But this is great to expose voting patterns and to show that we really do support the Democratic Party more than any other group, right? We really do. Just for all my researchers and all my people like myself who need to see the data. An early look at black voters' views on Biden, Trump, and election 2024. So let's see. Black voters will play a key role in determining the outcome of the 2024 presidential election. And while black voters remain overwhelmingly Democrat and support Joe Biden over Donald Trump by a wide margin, Biden's advantage among this group is not as wide as it was 4 years ago. Let's see. But black voters remain largely aligned with the Democratic Party. 83% identify with or lean to the Democrats, and 77% of black registered voters say they would prefer to vote for Biden over Trump in the 2024 presidential election. At the same time, black voters are very critical of Trump. Most say he was a poor or terrible president, 72%, and Many black adults think he broke the law in his aligned efforts to change the outcome of the 2020 election, 65%. Despite their support for Biden and criticism of Trump, about half of black voters, 49%, said they would replace both Biden and Trump with different candidates if they had the ability to decide. This is similar to the share of all voters who say this. Black voters consistently align with the Democratic Party. Currently, 83% of black registered voters identify or lean as Democratic, while 12% are Republican or lean Republican. This share is slightly smaller than the 88% who associated with the Democratic Party in 2020. Still, the vast majority of black voters have consistently identified with or leaned toward the Democratic Party for over 30 years. Similar shares of black men, 81%, and black women, 84%, are affiliated with or lean toward the Democratic Party. Roughly 8 in 10 or more black men and women have consistently identified with or leaned toward the Democratic Party since 1994. Yeah, that was the Pew research. Pew does great research, y'all. Get with Pew if you want to get any insight on voting patterns, voting data, political data, all of that good stuff. Let me say this, and I'm gonna get out of here because I held y'all long enough. A few things, right? I'm more critical of the Democrats simply because you see how much we lean toward them, and we haven't gotten a thing. We haven't. And I think it's important that we understand that it has nothing to do with any type of pathology, any type of misinformation, any type of lackadaisical perspective or perception that we have or misunderstanding that we might have. It's not any of those things. It's that we absolutely understand the voting process. We absolutely are holding and clinging on to those policy items that will benefit us and our family. And when you do not now move forward or move toward what you promised, what we gave you our vote for, we have right as Americans to now look into other places, as we should do. I advocate and support that. If you are going to be a part of this political process that is voting, divvy that thing up. Some of y'all go with the Democrats, some of you go with the Republicans, some of you go independent. This way we won't be taken for granted, because we've been taken for granted for far too long. Far too long. But this is for my people who are arguing these petty points, that are arguing why, from a personal perspective, from a theatrical, right? He say, she say. They're two different wings of the same bird. So whatever you're criticizing Trump for, we could criticize Kamala for the same thing. I mean, she did prosecute various black men in her time as the prosecutor out there. When you listen to people like Judge Joe Brown, when you listen to different historians talk about who she was prior to, right? You understand she really wasn't helping black people like that. She was locking our asses up. So there's an argument and debate there too. But really, y'all, we should have more compassion and more understanding about who people decide to throw their support and advocacy behind. It really matters not, because honestly, that's a system that was not created for you, black man and woman and child. It was not. Like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you're going to vote in a system for a white ruler, right? Accept your own and be yourself. Cling to each other. Build up something. Build up something for yourself. Build up something for yourself. So I just wanted to bring this to the forefront because I hear a lot of people saying a lot of erroneous things about black people, black men, and how we are harming the Democratic Party. How if they lose, if the Democrats lose, it's on us. No, it's not. How about y'all need to market to us better? Y'all need to campaign us better. Y'all need to come into our communities and see what it is that we need. How about you need to just follow through with whatever you said you would do in the last 4 years? And how about black men and women, y'all stop being divided by shit that don't involve y'all and don't benefit you as a nuclear, as a unit, right? That's really my message. None of this benefits us as a unit. So why are we wasting time arguing over something so obsolete when we could be actively engaged in those team family building activities and exercises that would only strengthen us and propel us into a more brighter and more stable future? That's what I really came to say. Yeah, that's what I really came to say. So yeah, all of this talk about Trump, Kamala is humorous. It's humorous. But like I've been saying, we've been supporting the Democrats for years. Why will we continue to do that? The Democrats are like that father that's a deadbeat that tells his child, hey, I'm coming to pick you up. And I'm standing by the door waiting for you to deliver on what you have told me you were going to now deliver. And your ass never shows up. Why would I continue to now hope? Why would I continue to now support a thing like that? I would not. So yeah, I'm gonna always be more critical to the person who I am supporting, who I've been supporting in a huge block for 30 plus years. That's 3 decades, y'all. So listen, what I want y'all to do is a few things, right? This is a part of my little brand, Lead with Logic, part of the shirts. Y'all going over to Lead with Logic 7, leadwithlogic7.com. Please go on over there and see what you can find. Get behind the movement. Lead with Logic is a brand, a saying, and a podcast. It's 3 in 1, right? And it's an acronym, and it stands for letting enlightenment and divinity win in this harsh level of God's infinite creation. So man, yeah, going over there, man. It's winter time. It's hoodie season. Y'all know y'all rocking hoodies. Go on, rock them out with the kids, man. I got to post up. I got different type of hoodies wherever you are. I think we got something. I know that we have something for you. Man, I want to thank everybody that came through. Zay Bailey, who said, great show, bro. Los Shaman, so it's good, need to be right. Yes, sign language, facts. My man, Askia the Great, I salute you, big brother. Man, everybody over there in fan base, everybody watching on Facebook, everybody on YouTube, and everybody who will watch this replay, because I know it'll be watched a few 100,000 times, right? But I want to leave you guys and say, look, may we all meet again in the light of understanding. I leave you in peace. Positive education, proper education always corrects errors, right? Positive energy always creates elevation. So listen, man, y'all have the most positive, productive, and most of all, peaceful rest of your week. Hey, peace and love, y'all. This is Brother Faheem signing right on off.